Hello, welcome to the latest Collector's Corner post from the Militaria shop. We just wanted to show you an item. We've been through a couple of collections of friends recently and picked out a few items we thought you might be interested in. And this was a nice one. It's not for sale, it's just purely for educational purposes, really. But it's an untouched, undeckled M4, late 42, well, 42 onwards, late war German Army helmet, model 42. And instantly you can tell that from the other two models, the M40 and the M35 combat helmets, because this rivet here, which was inserted into as a rivet into the earlier model, the 1935 M35 pattern, has a crimped rivet hole, and I'll come to that on the inside in a moment. So it's pushed in to reinforce that area rather than having a rivet inserted into that area. It's got its original pins in here and the original finish throughout. So if I just turn that round, you can see the paintwork. I don't know how well you can see this. It's the anti-flash finish, so it's a finish that's designed not to be reflective in actual fact, and it has a slight substance material that's vaguely slightly rough to the touch. It's not completely flat like a normal paint would be, and it's not too rough to pick up too much dirt and stuff, but it has a what they call an anti-flash finish on it. So that's coming off a little bit on some of the pins, and the helmet dome, as very often is the case, has a little bit more wear. But in terms of collector's terms, you'd say this is quite a mint, quite a really serious condition helmet, not really been too damaged by combat, etc. So I want to show you the insides now, and it's got no liner in it. That's the obvious giveaway that it's not complete, but the liner not being inside gives us an opportunity to slightly discuss this more than we would do normally. The attributes that's most obvious on an M42 model is the rim has been taken off the edge, and the rim was curled over for strengthening purposes on the earlier models, the 35 and the 40 pattern. But on the 42, it's logical to assume that they were trying to cut corners and cut costs, and they took the rim off. So you see this, if you look at it from that angle there, you can see it's much sharper on the edge without the turned over rim. So that is one thing that you can notice on an M42. And as I said earlier, the other is the riveting doesn't exist as a rivet. On the M40 models and onwards, they took that rivet out and just punched an indentation to strengthen that. It's an air vent on each side. That thing is actually for air, to give the wearer a little bit of cool to the head and let heat escape. Now, a lot on helmets nowadays, and I see this on forums every single week, especially in America, they're obsessed with lot numbers. Now, a lot number is a manufacturing number, and on this helmet, normally they're marked here or on the other side. You would see two letters normally. It doesn't always bear fruit, this, but normally you would see two letters denoting the number or the characters that represented the manufacturer. They were given initials and letters and numbers rather than putting their own name and address on for obvious military secrecy purposes. You didn't want the enemy to know that you were the company manufacturing 1 million helmets a week. So that was done. Now on this one, it's very faint. I can't actually make out the maker's mark. It might be HK, I'm not sure. And then 64, and 64 was one of the more common sizes. 64, 68 are the two mid-range sizes which most people's heads fitted during the war, because you will find 64s more often than not than anything else. The only other thing that they do put on is what they call a lot number. Now, the obsession with lot numbers has become silly, in my opinion. The lot number, if you can imagine 4,603 as is on here, that number would have changed multiple times per week and been issued to all sorts of branches of service. So if somebody says, oh, that's a such and such a helmet, that was an SS helmet, this was an army helmet, it's impossible to tell, and I'll defy anyone to actually be able to state that with any certainty at all. You might see 12 like that, and then you might see 112 that aren't like that with the same lot number with differing units on. So don't take that as a gospel thing, and certainly don't start scratching away at a helmet trying to look for a number that is meaningless, because eventually the new owner after you is going to first of all knock you on the price because you've damaged a good helmet, or they're just not going to buy it off you. So collectors, even if you're young or old, do not scratch it away just to see a lot number, because it is meaningless. The only other thing I'd point out on this one, I don't know how visible this will be, but there's quite a lot of smudging in the paint, i.e. the paint has run while they've been painting it. Now, I've had collectors in the past say, I don't like that, the paints must be modern because it's run. In actual fact, it is a fault that you see on an awful lot of helmets. I think near the end of the war, they were probably spraying them as quickly as they possibly could, and some of them will have gone out with smudged and over painted areas. So it's nothing unusual. But I just wanted to share that one with you because it's just a nice, honest M42 helmet. It could do with a good original liner, and then it'll be a super minty helmet. But just a nice item, and hopefully that's given you a little bit of something to think about. And don't dismiss helmets without liners. You can still buy good original liners. A lot of the Czech police post-war used original German liners, so they are around. You just have to buy one off a reputable dealer who'll let you know if you're not sure what you're buying. Anyway, hopefully that's been of interest, and I will talk to you soon.